So this is the Algarve, Portugal's southernmost region, and one that is blessed with an abundance of waves, clear waters, beautiful coastline, and plentiful sunshine year round. But because that's something that everybody wants, there are also some downsides to having all of those ingredients. So in this video, we're going to unpack what the region is all about. There are waves here all year round. The Algarve and Portugal in general is an extremely consistent stretch of coastline. Any activity happening out in the Atlantic is going to push swell into this region. Now the main tourist season is summer. So that's when a lot of people from Northern Europe, including here in the UK, get a nice bit of sun. It's the ideal time for sort of learning to surf, and the waves are generally pretty beginner friendly. As you start to move into autumn, you start to get some bigger swells hitting the coast, so you've still got really nice weather, but you start getting those winter swells hit the coast. And that's when the place becomes pretty magical, you know, you get loads and loads of waves at this time of year. It's still pretty hot compared to a lot of the rest of Europe. But if you've got the right guidance and the right knowledge, you can find beginner-friendly waves or advanced waves on whatever given day, depending on the conditions. And you can do this even in winter as well. So as long as you've not got a huge storm like what happened when we were there, you're gonna get waves basically whatever time of year. It's all about beaches here. There's basically just loads of beaches all around this sort of tip of the Algarve, and then on the west coast there's loads of west facing beaches that just face into the Atlantic. Those beaches there basically pick up any swell that's running. It's kind of where you go when it's small. Closer to town, in and around Sagres, you've got Tonel Beach, which is the main beach in town. It's a really fun beach. You kind of get these peaky left wedges and some rights as well. It does get pretty hectic. It's quite crowded, you know, being one of the main waves, it does get packed, but generally there's enough waves and the vibe's usually friendly enough that, you know, it's not like a gnarly place to go surfing, but you do have to be careful in not getting run over and not running over people. You kind of just have to look at what the wind's doing and what the swell's doing and try and match the two up to where it's going to be offshore. Generally speaking, there'll be like one, maybe two spots that are the best place to surf on that day. So we stayed with our friends at Outsite, who are actually today's video sponsor. So Outsite have accommodations all over the world, including several properties across Portugal. Their Sagres property is excellent, beautiful environment, really nice and quiet, and really well located for scoring waves down in this part of Portugal. As you can see, the space is pretty sick. Really well set up. If you're working online whilst you're away, there's co-working spaces, all the rooms have desk areas as well. Wi-Fi is obviously really good. So if you're looking to score fun waves and be productive whilst you're in the Algarve, check out Outsite. I'll leave the link down in the description. If you don't have a car or you can't drive or whatever, you'll want to stay in Sagres. If you're staying in Sagres, you can walk to a couple of different beaches. Mostly you can just walk to Tonel, and it's like the main wave right in town. If you're just walking, it does limit you to basically only that spot, which is not necessarily a bad option. It does have waves most of the time. The only downside is if it's quite small in there, or if it's too big, you don't have as much flexibility in going elsewhere. Generally, if you have to, you can walk between spots and accommodation, supermarkets, cafes, restaurants. Ideally, you want a car, because that just unlocks that extra bit of freedom. You know, if it's small, you can head up to the west coast. You know, it's really quick to just nip between your accommodation and whatever beach you're surfing at. It just gives you that extra flexibility. Like, we had our van whilst we were traveling, so it was pretty easy for us. But otherwise, if you're flying into Portugal, if you're flying into Faro, you can actually find fairly cheap rental deals from Faro Airport. Check out Discover Cars. They usually have pretty decent deals on there, especially in winter as well. Obviously, for somewhere like this, it's a destination that's so sought after. It's kind of like Morocco in the same way that during winter time, it draws people from, you know, UK, France, Spain, Germany, like all the places where it's freezing cold. It's really crowded, especially at the famous, like, well-named breaks. You can expect lots of people to be surfing kind of wherever you are. If it's sort of named on a map and if it's written about in surf guides, then there's going to be people surfing it. When it's smaller, obviously there's loads of surf schools and like basically beginners that are out there, so it does get pretty hectic. When it's just clean and sort of 1 to 2 foot, it's kind of that size that is doable for everyone. and still like quite fun for advanced surfers, so it's a pretty like hectic mix. Soon as it starts getting a little bit bigger though, it clears out a lot of the crowd. Generally the bigger it gets, the less busy it will get as well. So as long as you're going there with the expectation that it's going to be crowded, not that it's like this uncrowded bit of Portugal, because it's just not. Now, I know Portugal in general kind of has quite a bad reputation for localism in terms of like the global surfing scene. I heard a story though once of someone's windscreen getting splattered with a tin of sardines, which is kind of funny, but obviously pretty tragic as well, like tires getting slashed, all that kind of stuff. But if you're just cruising and you're just sort of sticking to yourself, you're surfing like the main spots and just kind of always having that attitude of like, these are your waves, I'm just gonna take whatever's like just going unridden basically. I always think it's a good thing to like give locals, or the people you think are local, like the benefit of the doubt, you know, if they're not quite gonna make a section, think, oh, I'm not gonna bother going on this wave, I'll let them go. And then sometimes, like even if you're in position, you've just found yourself on the peak and you're in position, there's like a bit of a pack on it, and you know, you think quite a lot of people are local, it's good to sometimes just like give waves away. Like even if you're in position, just like a little head nod to the local bodyboarder who's been waiting for a wave for a while goes like a hell of a long way, rather than being like, oh, I'm in position, I need to get this one. Just having that attitude instead of like, shit, I need to get whatever I can and be in position for as much as possible. Because yeah, there's a lot of bodyboarders and a lot of local surfers, especially the bodyboarders. They're out there like getting their waves and dominating, so you just kind of let them have that and pick scraps, or just wait for a long time basically. But as long as you have that attitude, I think it's a really good way to behave in the Algarve and anywhere in the world really. So the area as a whole, the Algarve's actually pretty big with lots of different parts to it. There's obviously some bigger cities. You've got Faro, you've got Lagos, you've got Portimao. And Sagres, to be honest, is super small and it's a really quiet, relaxing place to be, outside of the water at least. Yeah, there's not much going on there. I think that there's a few like nice cafes, and I think there's 1 or 2 bars that have live music and stuff on the weekends. But other than that, it's generally a really sleepy place, really relaxing place to be. Never really gets that warm in the Algarve, and I think in Portugal in general it doesn't really get that warm. So I think apart from maybe July, August, where you can probably get away with a 3-2, definitely bring a 4-3, just because if it's a little bit windy and it's not sunny, you want to be on that warmer side rather than the colder side, right? So here's sort of a cost breakdown of 7 days expenditure based on a trip to Sagres. Obviously this budget can change quite drastically depending on what sort of luxury and what sort of comforts you want, or how prepared you are to do it on a budget. But generally, as a budget where, you know, you're staying somewhere decent, you're sort of cooking your own food and you're just surfing and not really doing anything too extravagant, I think that's sort of a good ballpark figure. So yeah, that's a bit of a summary of the Algarve, and I hope it's given you some useful insights into what to expect from the region. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you need any help in planning a trip to Portugal, then give me a call. I offer one-to-one consulting calls where I can help you plan your trip based on your ability. So if you're heading to Portugal, Algarve, or anywhere really, I'd love to help you make it happen. I'll leave that link down in the description, but for now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next episode.